Hello, and welcome to the Dahlia World Gardens presentation of Seattle at Dawn, a Mage the Ascension Chronicle. I am our storyteller, Tim Dahlia. Thank you for joining us, and if you like our show and you want to see more, you can catch up on all of the magical shenanigans at our YouTube playlist. And while you're here, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Today, we are bringing a special solo session as part of our prologue to Book 8 of Seattle at Dawn. Today, we will further explore the life of Charlie Newell, played by our friend Billie. Introduce
Hi,
yourself, Billie.
that's me. I'm Billy. I play Charlie.
Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled that you're here, so let us get into it. At the end of 2021, Charlie has seen a lot. In fact, Charlie has seen some shit. You have been instrumental to the protection of Seattle and their population. You have formed bonds of friendship with two unlikely mages, and together you have saved countless numbers of people from the threats of bigotry, jealousy, zealotry, and bureaucracy. And through all the bargains, betrayals, and bloodshed, you have managed to keep it together. Somehow. While your Cabal mates had momentary lapses of sanity, you seem to be doing okay. You've risked much, and you have gained power for it. Power that you have yet to fully explore. Charlie has many still unresolved mysteries. And this is where we find Charlie, surrounded by new friends and has a secure foothold in Seattle. You've helped save several lives and plan to help out with more. So, what's next? Perhaps, as we've seen before, a reading of the tarot can help. So, Billie Joy, it is time for us to peer into the life of Charlie Newell. And when you're ready, flip the card furthest to the left.
All right, let's see what's in store for Charlie. Flip card. Ooh.
Okay. Reversed Knight of Pattern. The Knight of Pattern often has an association with the Iteration X convention of the technocracy, meaning cyborgs and cybernet and internet type stuff. Reversed, it often can mean carelessness, idleness, stagnation. Um, I think in the course of the past several months, Charlie has definitely um, been in a position of putting some of his aspirations and um, just interests on the side, um, running from the law and helping Anea and Jesse really largely avoided a lot of the issues going on in Charlie's life. So I kind of see this making sense in that regard. A little bit of stagnation. That didn't mean that you were standing still. You managed to grow in your understanding of the mycelial consciousness and so forth, and made a bargain with a crow deity. But you're still at the very beginning of that, and your wheels have kind of been spinning. What are you thinking about this card?
Yeah, that feels like I agree that there's been like Charlie has been working a lot on stuff that's not his own. And so like the stuff that's in his life has been stagnant, and it's it's unfortunate because he's done it a lot. But like those things well, while I mean, part of his like paradigm is is to be a helper,
Hmm.
but like Charlie's also kind of a loner and has been most of his life. So this whole idea of working with a cabal and I mean, he was trained with a cabal, but
Hmm.
that's not how he lives. And so it's been very odd being outside of what he normally does.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Being a loner and then being thrust into a circumstance where not only do you have to rely on others, but others have to rely on you. Um,
Yeah.
it's a different world, and while the precepts of the Verbena and the covens that your mother has been a part of and that you have as well, there is that community. There is a lot of do what thy will type of, you know, hey, no judgment. We all come together every once in a while to look at the moon and dance, and that's cool. Um, but you do you. Um, is kind of how a lot of your teachers have been. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also that whole academia. You've been off in, mage world for several months, and who knows what's going on over there, right? So,
Right. Yeah, let's not forget that Charlie has had a career, before all this stuff started happening.
fortunately, it's a career that's like, you had a grant to study things out in the wilderness.
Right, right.
So,
It's not like he had to be, show up to work every day.
yeah, you're not like a teaching professor or anything. Okay.
Right.
So that's Charlie's past, at least that aspect of it. Let's go ahead and flip the next card to the right and look at the present. The
The
Hermit.
Hermit.
Yeah. Uh, this one can oftentimes mean guidance. And under that, we're looking at like introspection, contemplation, respect, integrity. It's a major arcana card, so it's got a lot. Um, but it also wisdom, mentorship, open-mindedness, seeking. Particularly, it has an association with the Hollow Ones, who, as a tradition, when they were a part of the traditions, were about hollowing one's self out to fill with new knowledge, and um, they had a still do because one member of the Hollow Ones. Her name's Amnesia, um, but she doesn't fit the typical goth model that many Hollow Ones fall into. But with that in mind, the Hermit, I kind of see, yeah, Charlie is that loner. Even in this, cabal and kind of, wild adventures with other mages, it's still there's still that cage that he has around him almost, and there is an open-mindedness and there is a level of introspection with everything that Charlie does. Um, so what are you thinking about that? How does that make you feel?
That I'm not surprised. I'm kind of surprised that that showed up in the present for Charlie, but that definitely fits Charlie.
Mhm.
I would almost expect that to show up more in the past, but if I guess that makes sense that that's kind of just who he is, regardless of what situation that he's put into.
Yeah, I certainly think we have parallel visions there. Um, Anything else in particular that you look, feel about the card? If you happen to know anything more about it for the
No.
present, okay, no problem. Moving forward, ever forward to the future. Let's take the next card. Another reverse. This is the Four of Dynamism. Yeah, dynamism. Uh, Usually that spring of renewing energy. Um, this card reversed can represent solitude, repose, precaution, exile. Um, so it is possible that Charlie has a lonely future ahead. How are you feeling about that? What does this make you think about Charlie's future?
It's not terribly surprising. Um, with as like much as he's learned about like the connection that the mycelial network has in the forest, and about like the connections that society makes among itself. Um, it wouldn't be surprising that Charlie wants to focus, step away from that societal network and focus more back on the forest connections. But he's also got this other, like, all these little threads out there that he needs to take care of. So it's taking care of that stuff could be, it's like solitary work.
Finding balance between uh, newfound responsibilities with the traditions and specifically with your cabal versus the drive to learn more, to become better, um, to traverse the path of excellence, is often solitary. And all three of you in the cabal kind of have that, you know, but Charlie more than any.
Yeah.
Because Anea is always reaching out with her blog and trying to find young mages to, help. Jezzy with her very, hippie commune nature. There's people always. You go off into the
But she's
woods.
also a librarian.
She's a strange one for sure, but
Yeah. So I get that there's that little bit of like isolation with her as well, of self-isolation.
there's a bit of duality in that
I
regard.
think without
Yes,
Anea, we never would have been able to come together.
Inea certainly has a way of service leadership. Um, I think is a good way of putting it. Um, okay, I think that makes sense. It's going to be. I think this, again, this is the future in a broad sense, but it does show that there may be difficulty balancing those two aspects of Charlie's life. Um, and sometimes the scales will just go one way. Let's go with the next card. This is the current, or one of the circumstantial cards. So, like, it says core reason for circumstance. I'm more of like, there's so many things going on. It's just a part of the reason for the way things are.
Okay.
And this is the Queen
Ooh,
of
Queen of
Questing.
Questing.
Really like this card too. All right. This card, in its configuration, is aspiration. Um, it is all about the adept pushing themselves and learning to explore. It's got a meaning of control, um, command, attraction, self knowledge, growth, fluidity, transformation. Um, it is definitely at this point in Charlie's life, there is kind of a crossroads, and there is, you know, that drive to do the things that make them grow. So, um, what do you feel about that? Because that's where I see when I see it.
Yeah, yeah, because Charlie's got a whole bunch of like little things that he needs to take care of in his life, and so he's kind of at the beginning of in the middle of some things, in the middle of some quests, and at the beginning of these others that have just kind of been sitting and waiting.
Yeah, little things and big things that need attending to.
Yeah, it's just been so like we need to take care of this stuff right now.
Yeah,
You know, where some of the other things, like the murder investigation and the alien stuff, and like there's big stuff out there, but it's like it doesn't necessarily have to be taken care of right at this moment, or at least didn't need to be taken care of right at that moment. There were more pressing things.
exactly. Gonna take a quick look here.
Like,
Cool. All right. Now, the final card. This is the potential of the situation. I always look at this as either, the end results of how things are going. If you're, if you take no action, or no extravagant action, it's oftentimes can be a warning that you can avoid or a goal you can lean into. Um, but
damn.
this is kind of where I see things. So let's pull this last card.
Ooh,
Spooky.
that is
Um,
spooky.
there's a lot of spooky cards in this deck. Let's be honest. But this is the Four of Primordialism. Um, it often has association with ennui. Um, so lots of meaning of contemplation, apathy, and satisfaction, disputation. Um, so it's yeah, it's one of those like you can think if well, actually, I can even read this. For the person in the card, the pleasures of the world remind him only of of his own mortality. Entrenched with his own dissatisfaction, the sated Westrel shuns the pre the proffered cup of secret knowledge, immune to the headiness of its bestial temptations. He is drained the sensate realm of everything it has to offer. Neither mind nor spirit provide respite from the bleakness of his aimless destiny. So, in this, I see the warning. How does Charlie feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, it feels like I could see how all of these things that are going on in Charlie's life and around Charlie can feel like completely overwhelming, and the urge to just like step back and not deal with any of it is definitely there. And but if that happens, that like, it's not I don't you don't know what's going to happen when, if you do that, but like that you're not going to be affecting it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. That urge to just go like back out to the forest and not deal with any of this shit is strong for Charlie, but like, you know, you have to push past that and keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Um, there are times when self care is more important.
I can relate to that as a person.
I hope that we can, as a species, start accepting that. Well, it has been a few days now. Christmas has come and gone. You spent it with your cabal and your new friends in Nay's sanctum, each of you feeling more comfortable together. The news has reported the capture of domestic terrorist Ned Calhoun. His attacks on the disenfranchised of Seattle have been revealed. His attempts to cover his tracks and fake his death by bombing his own bar have failed. Many of the Home Guard Solution members have been arrested. To the shock of the media, some of the police forces have been caught in a protection conspiracy and are now suspended without pay. An IA review is pending. Anonymous sources have been feeding the media and the public. It seems Teki Pesci has the elite skills he brags about. You have not heard from Operative Watts, nor have you expected to. The New World Order rarely lets any information that hasn't been approved slip to the public or even mages. Anea's hands finally stopped bleeding. She still seems shaken from the experience, and you've noticed that from time to time she double checks to see if she left anything behind when she touches it. For your part, the mushrooms growing out of your scalp have also fallen out. The backlash of paradox fading as you slip into a more mundane routine. Jezebel and Jennifer have returned to the Unity commune, and Jizzy promised to call if she needed anything. And she did invite you and everyone else to the New Year celebration that they throw every year. Carl has taken an apprenticeship under Animus Vox and is helping run the Puppet Place, a warehouse in North Seattle that builds the puppets of Animus Vox Productions. And recently, prior to the new year, you, Charlie, have been introduced or invited to the. Gosh, named it. Where is it? Oh, the Bellevue Overlake Mental Health Treatment Center to visit your family friend Joel Stalker. Mark has arranged for this and is going to meet you downstairs at the entrance in the lobby and take you in. And no cops.
Thank goodness.
You show up at the hospital, and standing, you look very, very afraid. Let's fix that.
Yeah,
I mean, you have the power to fix this
I would
too.
hope
But
would hope that I would be a little bit happy to see Mark rather than.
yeah, you, I think you have the ability to right click on that token and change how he looks anytime as well. So
Oh, I did not know that.
mhm. There's a little slider says when you right click says multi-sided and goes through all the options. It's hard to see, but You
Neat.
get enough practice, you know which one's which. Anyway, so you are greeted at the entrance of the hospital, or the care facility rather, and Mark's like, "Charlie, excellent, thank you. Come, come. It's been a while. Been a while."
Oh, yeah, Mark. It's good to see you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, not the greatest of circumstances, of course, but that's kind of that tends to be when we meet up.
Well, things seem to be getting into a good place. I've been busy on Joel's case, but I think we've got some good prospects here. But he's asked to see you. He's feeling pretty bad. Um, but yeah, why don't you come on upstairs and we'll get you guys hooked up.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, the wait's not long. It's pretty straightforward, easy, normal, check in type of process. They don't really get your name or anything. They just kind of let you walk in with Mark. Um, and you get to this room. It's fairly bright, looks nice, and then you find your chair there. You see um, your friend, family friend, laying in the bed, not handcuffed. Seems like he's in decent spirits, but he sees you. He's like, "Charlie, yeah, hey, buddy, how you doing?"
Joel, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I mean, I, they tell me that I see things, and I'm not quite ready to be out there, but I just wanted to make sure that you were okay, because I know that some of those guys were looking for you, and I saw the photos of that kid. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm really sorry, Charlie. I didn't mean to bring you into all this.
I don't. It doesn't seem like you did. It was. I mean, it was an unfortunate situation, and it definitely sucked having the cops out there looking for me. But I managed, and like we're here now.
Yeah, I just the doctors here said they said that there's some sort of, I don't know how to describe it, some sort of state where I was thinking that the things that I imagined were real. I don't really know what they mean. I can still hear and see that kid's face and his cries, and it's I've they say that I wasn't even there. Mark steps in. He's like, "Yeah, we actually have been able to get several witnesses that provide Mr. Stalker with a alibi. So I think we're going to be in good shape to, you know, show that this is an isolated case of, mental illness that came on from the stress of having a family friend accused of a crime they didn't commit, and the horrific representation in the media of Wicca. So we got lots of groups that have been pressuring the police to do a more thorough investigation, and so far, there've been. I've got some contacts outside of the police that have been helping with that as well. And Mr. Stalker, you don't have to apologize for anything, especially because you did nothing wrong. As a lawyer, it comes across like, hey man, don't say you did shit. but but it's a safe space.
Right. Well, and like, sort of like, like you said, you didn't do anything wrong. I understand that, like, you have what feel like memories, of this thing happening, but obviously that didn't happen. I mean, you didn't do it. We know that you were elsewhere. When
Yeah.
when did you start having the memories or the visions?
I mean, I don't know if they're visions. It's just
Or
I remember doing it, and I felt compelled. There was a sudden knowledge that I did something wrong, something unnatural, and that I harmed some kid.
do you
And
remember going there,
going where?
going to where you harmed him? In this memory, or what you did earlier that day?
I just remember doing it. All the
See, that's not how memories work, though. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that you're going through this, my friend. That sounds really rough.
Yeah, well, the doctor's got me on some medication that's keeping me from losing it. From what I understood, I definitely uh, defiled my cell um, in Forks. Yeah, we Mark steps in. He's like, yeah, we were attributing that to the continued stress of the psychotic break. Writing on the walls with your own feces and drawing, spooky symbols is, usually not good. Um, and doesn't get the police on your side. So I wanted to make sure that we had you in a better mental state before we put you in front of a judge.
Yeah.
So that's why we brought you here to be evaluated. Um, the doctors here, they are some of the best. Um, we're a bit closer to some of my old haunts with, well, we're a bit closer to um, some pro corporate organizations that I'm not necessarily fond of and are not necessarily fond of me. But what can you do? The city's only so big. But
Seems awfully big to me.
space is relative, I suppose.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
But I think, Joel, was there anything else that you had on your mind or what you wanted to do? Joel just like, I just wanted to make sure that Charlie knew that I was okay and that I wanted to see that Charlie was okay too. Um, I, I really hope this doesn't like hurt your case or anything. And Mark's like,
Why do you?
well, there was the slight possibility that the only reason why they stopped looking for you as a as a um, as a suspect was because somebody had confessed. But I've also put together a timeline and gotten you an alibi as well. Um, whether it holds up or not, you know, we can find out.
Okay, I guess I didn't think about that. You don't try to, you don't think about things that you didn't do.
Exactly. That's what they hired me for.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Joel, I mean, spend as much time as you like. Uh, I'm gonna go talk to the nurse down, make sure that we've got everything set up here for Joel, and I will be back in a moment. And Mark leaves the room for you two. Is there anything that you had in mind that you wanted to go over?
No, the whole situation just seems like obvious. That he was brainwashed and why, why the whole like elaborate layers of this whole thing though. Yeah, no, I've got nothing else that I can think of to
Hmm.
ask Joel or to talk to Joel about.
Okay. So you give him a hug. You say your piece for the moment, and hope that he gets better and things improve, and that you have your confidence in Mark. You head out, and Mark's waiting for you in the hallway. Well, that went pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, the situation's difficult, but it's good to see that at least he's in decent spirits.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that he could confront somebody who was directly involved, or rather accused of being directly involved, before we went any further with any court appearances or anything like that. But he seems to be in good spirits. The medication seems to be doing its thing. Um, some of our more enlightened medical professionals here um, have indicated that they've found the root of the mental wimwam, and they're got a hold on it. And yes, it
Good.
certainly
That
does seem
was
to.
that was a question that I definitely had.
Yeah, we thought about it, and we wanted to know who was doing this. It doesn't. Our investigations have shown that it doesn't seem to be 100% from the New World Order. Um, it might be more. It's definitely Technocratic Union, but we don't have an exact source from it. So it's possible that this was not done at the behest of any one individual that you've met, like that man in black that you uh, told me about. So, but somebody wanted to, the very least, make things really muddy.
Yeah, that's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. That seems like the motives behind this I don't get because it seems like you could do. I don't. I can't figure out what a motive would be to do everything this way. To make it seem so like if you wanted to come after me, there's other ways to come after me more directly. Rather
I'm
than like destroy a bunch of people's lives in the process. And like I don't know, I'm
starting
a
to
little
think
baffled
that
still.
perhaps it wasn't you. Perhaps it was without knowing the motives of the individuals that started this whole thing. I think we have multiple factions that we're looking at in the Technocratic Union. One of whom did put out a APV to find you because they wanted to get you out of hiding. And then we had another group that just wanted to mess with the other group. That's what I'm finding. And I think, yeah, I'll take the win where none of them get what they want, other than maybe the misery of other people. And quite frankly, that might be what somebody wants.
Sadly, that is a thing.
But I'm not interested in being miserable. So I was wondering, do you like fondue?
I fucking love fondue. That's, I haven't had fondue in forever.
Great. I know a place down the road.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's do it.
Excellent. Let me give him a call. Usually they have a bit of a wait list. One second. He gets on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, it's on. Thanks." And that's it. He doesn't even like. He had it all prepared. He knew what he was doing. And after the kind of stress of the holiday season, this happening with your friend, and now the possibility that maybe you just got caught up in the technocratic infighting, um, things seem nice. So nice that when you get to the fondue place, Mark has a private little booth set up.
Aw,
I
that's fucking
felt
adorable.
you're welcome. Take a seat. Let's sit down. Let's eat some. Let's have some good food and dip it in sauce, which is the best part of
Yes,
food.
it is. It is.
So I have a feeling that I know a lot more about you, Charlie, than at least on paper than many others. But I wanted to hear it from you. How are you doing? What makes Charlie
Ugh.
Charlie? And he's just he's got the questions and he knows how to speak and he just he's directing traffic of the waiter to the table. It's quite amusing and a little frightening, but at the same time, it's all for like the benefit of this.
Yeah, and like I think Charlie obviously recognizes that this is like all of these little details and these
Yeah,
little intricacies are put together for his purpose and for him to see.
yeah.
So like, ah.
Of course. Like, so Charlie, tell me more about yourself. Maybe stuff. I mean, like I said, I know a lot about you on paper. Read one of your books. I think, I think I get it.
Wow.
Um, but tell me about it.
Well, I mean, you read the book, so like you see. Well, you read the book and read my notes and stuff. So like I grew up and didn't kind of was by myself a lot, and it wasn't because I didn't have opportunity to be around other people, that there were other kids, and people were okay to me. People treated me well. It's just like the forest was the place to be because that seemed like where all of the real life was happening, all of the like the beginnings of what becomes us. It all comes from there, and seeing how everything works together, I couldn't not know more, you know?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, I've got my own expertise in finances and other weird things, but it all stems from, wanting to help and be a part of a community. Um, I was never as good as some of my other um, peers in the society. Um, well, once I joined the society, um, but I do have to offer is an amazing knowledge of how bureaucracy works and those connections between points. And when I read your book, when I was you talking about the connections of the mycelial network, and not just between the fungus themselves, if that's the right way to say it, and us. Really felt familiar on how I see bits of information and data and everything connecting with that, and how we can elevate the right things. So, I mean, your book, to me, while it is about science, it was really about life and connection. And I found a little bit of I really like that. I like your point of
Oh, well,
view,
thank
Charlie.
you. I really, it's funny that the more that I am out in the world and see how like society works together and those kind of things, and also how like all of these little groups work together, I see so many similarities. And oh my God, we had this moment where we were in the internet, you know, like physically manifested inside the internet, and the that felt so much like the mycelial network. It was just like a an electronic version of the same concept. I see it
Yeah,
everywhere.
I've had some of our adept friends tell us of like it's like that. Um, I couldn't feel it. It always felt a little too cold for me. But yeah, I understand.
I certainly didn't intend to be there, didn't want to be there, but once I was in there, it almost felt like home. I mean, not exactly like home, but the because the forest and the internet are so vastly different, but everything's connected.
Yeah. And Charlie, you also know this, that scientists and the like have made models of like cities and put like groupings of food in certain places and then let you know fungus grow, and it finds the best pathways through the city better than like the way the transit public transit was even set up. But if you set up public transit that way, it would be even better. um, so yes, it does feel a lot like this is how the world works. Everything's connected.
Yeah.
After a time, the food comes, big pot, lots of things to stab and dip, I guess. I don't know what the official terminology for fondue is. Like, yeah, I just think stab and
I don't
dip.
know. Billie, I've never had fondue.
See, I've
I
been
was
meaning
actually
to.
thinking about it today, about how like, oh, I would really like to go to a like have fondue. It was mentioned in something I was listening to and was thinking like, oh, that sounds amazing. I've always
Yes,
wanted to, but anyway.
indeed. Yes, but food comes and it is worth whatever is being paid for it. It is delicious. It is a lot, and it comes in rounds of you know different types of fondue, um, leading up to from the appetizers that are just a little bit some big pops of flavor, and then like the main like different meats, different vegetables that all and different flavored dips, um, and all of it is just savory and delicious. And then the dessert comes, and that's just amazingly on top of the game. It's like all the other stuff for fondue is amazing. The dessert part of fondue is the best part of fondue. Um, and as the evening comes to close, it's Mark. It's like is there any? I mean, you have a good conversation, and you get a bit more of an insight into Mark's history. Mark's, while he doesn't say it out loud, you have a feeling that he wasn't always a part of the traditions, that he came into it later in life and he joined the Society of Ether. And though they are very mechanistic and um, they build machines and he understands that, he really understands data and connections. And that's how he's able to do the things he does. And then after that, he's like, well, what do we do from here?
Well,
I hear Spider-Man's good.
you know, I saw part of it. I didn't mean to, but I saw part of it.
Oh, no spoilers then.
No, because the part that I saw I don't think was actually in the movie, so it doesn't really matter.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, if you know,
I could sit next to you in the dark for a while.
me too. And you go and catch a good movie. Lincoln Square Cinemas just down the road. And it's a very posh movie theater. It's very clean. It's on the top of floor of a larger building. There's a bowling alley that's like, you are underdressed for this bowling alley. They require like tie type of dress.
Wow.
It's a fancy bowling alley.
Weird.
Yes, and it's the strangest thing, but
Those
okay.
things don't make sense to me. Those things don't go together to me.
Yeah, I've always been shocked that you walk by the bowling alley, it's like there's a dress code. Okay, but the movie, you have a good time. How would you like this date to end for Billie or for Charlie?
That might be a different thing if it was Billie.
True.
Charlie's a little more reserved than Billie.
True, but Charlie's also an adult, so
Yeah. No, I mean, a movie, yeah. I mean, we should probably, find a place to be, quiet and intimate.
okay. So you have your quiet, intimate evening with Mark Kardasian, and it's a lovely evening. Things go miraculously well. You find common ground and start building a relationship beyond just this idle attraction that's been sparking for the past couple months. Then January comes around. And in January, you go to the New Year's party at the commune. It is, as Jesse promised, a straight banger. She danced with everyone. The rift between the Night Hunters and Mabel, still fresh. There was definitely tension, but Jesse seemed to indicate that she had a plan on how to go forward with that. And Mike was there from the theater, looking awkward and holding a cup, but enjoying himself as best he can, dancing with Jesse, and being the weird one out of the bunch of weird ones, because he's the straight one. That's just how it goes sometimes. So he but he enjoyed himself apparently, and the fireworks were amazing, and of course, private land commune, they can do anything and everything that they want. You found that both Jesse and Anea had embraced some newfound strength in themselves, and with your help, the Cabal has definitely started to build the resources towards the library, Specifically, one that helps young mages connect with old wisdom and has a bit of an anti-technocratic vibe. It's kind of the feeling that everybody's going for. So for this, I would like to have you roll your arete.
Okay.
I'm having everybody roll arete, and I'm adding all the results.
Difficulty?
6.
Okay.
That is 3 successes. Lovely. Okay. I add that to the pool. And that's between you, Jesse, Anea, and Carl.
Cool.
In January, while you're working with Mark to look into the case and
Actually, I need
find...
to pause for a second. I need to go to the restroom.
I hear
Be
you.
right back.
I will do the same. Welcome back. Okay, yes. Where was we? We were here. Shortly after the New Year's party, Charlie was summoned to the Theater of the Mind, the advisory board. It seems that they had some continuing questions about the situations that you've been involved in, though it doesn't seem to be as pressing a matter, especially after rescuing Animus Vox, and with kind of how everything turned out, it didn't seem like to be as much of a threat or a problem for the council at this point. But they did still meet with you. And you were brought into the theater as before, coming into the Conjurer's cubby hole, being invited to the back room and walking through a door on the stage to the bright lights of a theater underground and across the road. And you enter the space, and the consors, all these different people that seem to have a job here, just normal sleepers, but seemingly a part of the whole process. They work for someone. In this case, they work for the Chantry. You are brought into the theater, and it's the same theater that you've been in before, but this time you're placed on the stage. The lights aren't on. You're not, being grilled or interrogated in that regard. But one by one, a few people come in and they sit essentially in the orchestra pit, and it's a mixture of 5 different people. Some you know, some you don't. First one to walk in is Ocean, who you met at the Lakashim. Seems to run the show there, and
Oh, yeah.
he kind of saved you a bit from Teki Peshi.
That's right.
He looks up to you like, "How you doing, bro?"
Doing all right. Lots of ups and downs.
Understood, bro. Take it easy. Just chill. This isn't anything big or formal. We'll be through it in no time. I think just a few people have some questions for you. Me, from what I hear, you've done a great job, so I don't really care. But I do want you at the next show. Tell Jesse to show up more.
I can tell her.
Lyra keeps asking about her, so I'm kind of stuck with that. Next person who walks in is a woman in a white shirt, black tie. Um, she goes over to Ocean and just kind of, pats him on the back and gives him a bit of a hug and whispers in his ear. And then she looks up. You're Charlie Newell?
Yeah, that's me.
Excellent. I am Ohm. I am representative of the Society of Ether. I will be taking notes here and making sure that everybody stays on track. So, yeah, I think Ocean said it. Just be cool. You'll be fine.
Okay.
The next person to come in, when they enter the room, you feel immediately compelled just to stare. They are sucking the attention, literally, from everyone onto themselves. And they gracefully walk in, take a seat, stare up at you, and then just kind of staple their fingers. Just keep watching. And they don't say a word. You just feel them looking at you. And the more they look at you, the more you want to look back. But then immediately following that very serious entrance, Animus Vox himself comes in, and not even halfway to his seat, he's like waving. Hey Charlie, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hi,
It's
Animus.
me, Animus.
It's good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you too, buddy. This guy, he is so caring and so useful. I spent Christmas with him.
That's true.
Ohm just writes notes, and the person staring at you is like, Christmas, huh? That sounds jolly. And rounding it out, finally, the fifth and final person to enter the room is another person you know, Malcolm Matthews. He takes a seat in the center after some light chit chat with the others, and he's like, "Hey, Charlie, good to see you again." And you notice that he's not walking on his cane. He's active and lively, and in this space doesn't seem to need it as much. So welcome back to the Theater of the Mind. This is where we normally have cabals present fun examples of new and exciting research, but or sometimes just put on a good show. As he looks at Animus. In the case of Animus, that's pretty much all we expect. Well, I mean, sometimes the show is the important research. Well, I mean, I guess he's right. So you know Ocean, I hear, and you know Animus. Over here, we've got Ohm from the Geek Squad, and here to my left is the fabulous Sage Nova. Sage Nova, it's like, just gives a bit of a nod and says, "Thank you for that introduction, Malcolm." And he's like, "So, we're just here to kind of chit chat a little bit about your experience with these owl walkers and the weird cancel thing. There was an angel, I hear. I haven't seen one of those in a while. And also, apparently, you had some experiences with the digital web that Ohm and also Fandot, who could not make it, just want to know more about. But we'll get some notes on that. You have any questions for us? Because, like I said, this is not a tribunal with a. It's not even a tribunal with a lowercase t. This is just, we want to get as much information as we can to help Seattle and make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again.
I don't think I have any questions. Let's just get this information out then.
Okay. The Animus and Malcolm, they don't really ask a lot of questions. They seem pretty chill about the whole thing. Ocean also is kind of more in that group. He just wants to hear some basic information. Sage, Nova, on the other hand, they are very much interested in the extrajudicial killings that took place. And they have some very pointed questions, and is specifically, so Mr. Newell, I am curious how you feel about taking the lives of other people, and if it is that you are, taking seriously.
How do I feel about taking the lives of other people? I'm haunted by it at every moment of every day. It's something that I can't say that I have to. That I regret what I did, because I did what I did in order to protect the lives of myself and my friends and other people as well. But I wish that I didn't have to have that in my head anymore. I wish that I didn't have to do those things to protect my friends and protect this community, for that matter.
That's fair. Do you feel that there was a choice?
Well, I mean, of course there was a choice. There was a choice between, stopping these people from doing what they were doing, or, losing more lives in the process. So it was a matter of this person's life versus the lives that they were taking.
And yet, do you feel that you are an adequate judge of whose fate to end early?
I don't think anybody should have to be the judge of that. Like I said, I hate that I was put into a position where I had to make a decision like that. It's not something that's taken lightly by any means, and I don't know if I'm a good judge of that character, but I hope that I did the right thing. I waited as best that I could in the moment.
Sage looks over at Malcolm and then looks back at you. Thank you, Mr. Newell, for your candor. I appreciate it. I believe Miss Ohm has more questions for you. And she's written down notes on all of this, and then she's like, yeah, thank you. Just getting right to it, you spent some time in the digital web. How was that?
Well, being there itself wasn't terrible. I mean, it was an odd experience. It felt semi-familiar to me in that I know of connective spaces, so that felt familiar. But the getting there and the getting out, those things, and having to be there in the first place, and being put there, not of my own choice. No, those things were awful.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, speaking of, how did you escape the web?
We didn't find shit, actually. The people that we were working with, Teki Pesci and his group, helped us find I can't remember what the name of the machine was, but there was a machine that does that, where you can reintegrate out
Yeah,
from out.
yeah. Penny's report is very detailed
Technical
on that.
stuff that I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, Penny's report's pretty detailed on that. Just we want to keep track of you know anything that can holistically immerse people into the digital web. You don't want that falling into the hands of the sleepers. We know the Technocratic Union has it, but they keep it to themselves. So we just wanted to make sure there's no rogue tech that's going about and making our lives miserable. So okay, yeah, that seems to match up. I think we're okay there. Um, Charlie or Billie, whoever. Um, for Charlie, this is not entirely the truth. There's some omission of truth here, but that is part of the deal that you have. So I would like you to make a manipulation and this is manipulation and subterfuge. Not your best. I will say, going into this, you would have been prepared, so you could, if you had anything, like magically, you can cast on yourself to add to your dice pool. Like, how do you beat a lie detector?
Well, being that Charlie has like 3 in life, you can, definitely work with your like heart rate and sweat glands and that kind of stuff to
Make it
manipulate
easier.
how yeah, exactly, make that a little bit easier to
Okay. So we could say that prior to this, you cast yourself. Go ahead and like roll your arete.
okay.
Difficulty. I mean, this is yourself, so difficulty is going to be 5. Okay. If you, I mean, you could be this. This would have been something that you would do ritualistically, so you could. I'd say, in theory, you probably would have been able to spend an hour doing this. So I would allow another roll. Half
Okay.
hour for each of that. Do my best to be fair. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can roll the manipulation subterfuge with a DP mod of 5 and difficulty 6. Okay. 2 successes. Useful to have those 2 successes. All right, and that also goes into the pool for the other members of the Cabal when asked the same thing. Finishes writing her note on the clipboard. She's like, okay, well, I think that concludes everything that I was here for. Any other questions from anybody else? And Malcolm looks around. He's like, no, I think we've got this handled. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Charlie, for your time. I will, I will see everyone later. I'm going to stick around and I've got some private business to speak with. And they all acknowledge and seem respectful of that. Sage Nova's the last to leave. Um, but eventually, it is just you and Malcolm in this giant theater. Oddly enough, you can hear each other perfectly wherever you're at, and there's no echo. It's so well designed that you can hear everything from the stage. And Malcolm comes up onto the stage and pulls a chair up next to you, and he's like, "Wow, guys, you really had some times, huh?"
Yeah, you could say that. Last couple months have been a little chaotic.
Well, I mean, I can't say that I don't appreciate it. You really have performed better than I thought you would, and better than Frosty and Amisha predicted. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, truly.
Oh, you're welcome. Did what we had to do.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily tell you everything that I was expecting of you, and honestly, I don't think I could have predicted half of what's happened to you. But I still think that you are a valuable addition to the cabals of Seattle and the theater of the mind as a whole. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
yeah. Is there anything that you need from us? This is for the mutual benefit of everyone here. I don't want to have any of our members feel that they're part of some strange awakened army facing off against the forces of evil every day. I mean, we have true questions of life and reality, and our goal is ascension for all. So I was just, I didn't want to, not reciprocate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, well, when all of this started, I had this experience with what I can only describe as an alien encounter. I don't know exactly what happened, um, because my memory after the event is a little bit spotty, like it's been messed with. Um, but I there was there was a being. There was a crash, and there was a being, and then there were men in black, and then my memory is all spotty, and then all of this stuff starts happening. And I never really got back to where I started with this in trying to figure out what the hell happened. Like, what happened to that being? Is it, I don't know, like, what kind of a help that y'all could provide, but it almost feels like a futile attempt. Like I'm asking for something that doesn't. There's no way to make happen because there's not enough information. But I mean, how do I even go about investigating something like that?
As a friend of a few scientists out there, I think that we can pull a few strings and see what our friends in the Society of Ether can help out with. I have a particular friend that's really good about this sort of thing.
That's awesome.
I will give him your information. I think, I mean, if you've been looking into this, you may have already come across this information, but he is hard to get a hold of because he's not oftentimes here. And that's strange coming from me because I'm not oftentimes here either. But he's even more so unavailable. I unfortunately have to be. So he can hide all day long. I have to be available for blah 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 blah. It is what it is. So, yeah. So you're looking for. So I will definitely reach out and have them contact you.
Okay.
And I know Mark is working on the sleeper locals, but I think everything is okay at this point. We don't have. We still have some issues with the Technocratic Union. We will always have issues with the Technocratic Union. Outright open hostilities, though, that's fortunately not been a thing for a long time. And given your report,
Yeah, we don't need another war.
and given your report, it sounds like they are still of that same mindset. Just and yeah, you know, that was Techie Pesci's fault. I think I'm gonna have to have a talk with him. That one problem you had. Although you did it, maybe next time before you jump in with a couple of rogues to infiltrate a construct of the Technocratic Union, maybe run it by us first. I think that might be a thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, we didn't know that, what we should be running by who. You just kind of do when you do it sometimes.
I understand that. So, yeah, let's do that. I hate being like the dad. Ugh. Ugh. I don't like telling people to tell me about something first. God damn it. Look at me now. Oh well. Just find inner peace. I don't know how Joseph does this. I'm done. I'm done for now. But if there's anything else, of course, reach out. And I will send Enoch your way. He hates it when I'm calling that. But at every opportunity, call him Enoch. He'll hate you.
Okay.
Maybe not, but
yeah, doesn't sound like something to do to somebody I want help from. I think I get the joke, though.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to go, and I'm sure you've got things to do. So have a good day, and we'll catch you later. And Malcolm stands up, exits. The consoles of the theater lead you out, back to Pike Place Market. Later in January, you get a call. Actually, let's say even in February, you get a call from Alice Brown from the university.
Oh, good to hear from you. How you doing?
I am doing well, Charlie, and you are a hard person to get a hold of. Holy cow. But
Yeah, I've been busy lately.
have you been too busy to, promote your book? Because, quite frankly, I'm not sure why. Maybe it was that weird time that they were looking for you, the police. That was kind of interesting. I would have liked to have been called about that too, Charlie. But it's okay. I know how you are. I know how it is. I get it. But your book, it's been out for a while, but it has seen an incredible spike in sales. And
Oh,
we are getting interest, and they don't know who to call because all it says on the back is that you are, associated with the University of Washington near Seattle, blah 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 blah. So they keep reaching out to me, and I've been like, I haven't been able to get a hold of them. Finally, wow. But yeah, there's several podcasts, there's a couple of bookstores and some conventions. They're all asking for interviews.
that sounds like a whole lot of social interaction. How can we streamline this a little bit?
Well,
Because you don't want to do like 90% of that, right?
true. You don't want to go down to Texas to talk to some douchebag on the internet, I'm sure. But at the same time, it might do you some good to, talk to a few people. Maybe sign a few books at some bookstores. I don't know. What do you feel comfortable doing?
Well, see, it's difficult one because like I have a lot going on. This is important. I realize that, but I don't know that this is like leading me to like further research, and that's where I need to be. So like, let's try to keep this to a minimum, but just do what's going to be the most that we're gonna get the most out of.
Okay. I'll see who's the most open to remote interviews and possibly only like very
Minimal
sporadically.
book signings, yes.
Oh yeah.
And
I
let's
don't think
do like
I don't
let's
think
try to
we're gonna
keep
do the
the
book signings.
person stuff. Yes, let's try to keep the in-person stuff to a bare minimum, and we'll
Okay.
you know I can do some interviews here and there, but it's as long as it's going to be virtual because I need to be in a few different places at a few at the same time.
And you can't do that yet. Um,
Right.
you,
Nobody can.
you need more in mind. She doesn't say that. I say that.
Right. Right. I'm assuming if she said that she.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's just a professor. Okay.
Right. Right.
And she's
Exactly.
trying to help you with the
Nobody
book because
can do
she's been one of your peers, colleagues, even mentor at some point. But your research has taken strides. Um, she's like, okay, um, I'll work with my publicist and we'll see what we can do to organize a few things for you. Nothing big, nothing in person, and you know, yeah, but we can do this. Well,
Yeah.
I'll be in
We
touch.
need to definitely try to keep it minimal because I got some really good ideas of where I'm going with the next book, and I want to get moving on that.
All right, next book. I like that. I like that attitude. Okay, well, um, it's good to hear from you, Charlie. Don't
You too.
don't get lost in the woods too much.
Oh, I wish I had the time to do that right now.
Maybe
We'll get back there.
Maybe February, March will be better for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Let's get through these interviews and get moving on to the new research.
excellent. She hangs up and things go pretty well. She's got things in your best interest going. Um, the winter was cold and damp as it usually is, and many people in Seattle were not as fortunate as you. You've reunited with your family. The police seemingly are off your back. They don't seem to care. Um, the mother of the Oliver Green, seemingly nowhere to be found. She's not pushing, and she's not around the town anymore. So maybe a mystery, maybe just turtling. We don't know. But after the rush of awakened politics and all the emergencies, you and the night hunters have found a nice groove of, you know, research, assistance, personal time. You haven't let off on the gas. You're still on the street, helping where hands are needed. But you do have more personal time to spend out in the woods, do some more research, do some more writing, have more moments with Mark, and help your family and your family's friend through a hard time of recovery. And the town still has this weird vibe after unsolved murder, but that was months ago. People forget. Sleepers move on. So in these quieter months, what has Charlie been doing?
Well, I actually did have an idea of what he would be working on for that next book. In those, how forest relationships relate to societal connections, and the how the internet is how the mycelial network is the internet of the forest, but the internet is the internet of our society, and how those two things correlate.
Hmm. Sounds like you may want to learn more about computers and some technology that you may not necessarily have. So you do have research
Right.
to look into. You're at 2 in computers, that's not so bad, but you might want to consider cosmology, because that is the great connector of all things here. Um,
That makes sense.
yeah, technology maybe, but and maybe a little more science. But you got months to work on that. Um, in this time frame, you are working more with your familiar, Cal. Cal, it takes probably a few more weeks than your well, you're a little embarrassed that it took this long to figure out. But Cal has been encouraging you to eat the mushrooms that you found in the spirit wilds. And on one evening, you do. And it was a wild night. You definitely found some new connections between the network and the crows that, seemingly, this is part of their diet, that connection. But when you come back, you find that you can understand Cal. Cal actually now talks.
Ooh.
That connection of those shrooms from the spirit wilds has bridged an understanding between you and the crow incarnate. And Cal's like, "Oh my god, that took forever in the name of Crow and Raven and all the others that fly in the crooks of the castle, Corvid. My god, Charlie. Oh, Fuck me, that took forever.
Sorry.
Cow.
Yeah, I'm maybe not the quickest at figuring things out.
Yeah, you know what? I think I figured that out too. But you know what? That's what we're here for. To figure things out and, maybe steal some shiny shit.
Okay.
So, how's the book coming?
Slow, you know. It seems like every time I have another idea, I end up coming up with, an extra couple of chapters that I have to add into this, and then there's editing. It's a long process.
Yeah. Well, good news is that, you know, Boss Lady Crow, she thinks that you're doing a great job and, is happy that you're not taking this opportunity to enrich yourself. So, excellent. Um, Me, on the other hand, I want to enrich myself. I don't know, what she's all about. But I'm all about the shiny shit.
Okay, well, let's find you some shiny shit.
That's what I'm talking about. And over the course of, the future, Cal will be definitely easier to communicate with. He won't have to do elaborate puzzles for you. And he seems really relieved by that. He's like, man, I had so many different algorithms figured out, and I just don't understand how you couldn't figure it out. And then I realized our brains are different.
Yes, very.
Leading into, we're now past the month of February, past the month of March. Things are progressing pretty well with your book, your connections, your friends. You're having, you're finding that groove. As I said, in the month of March, you learn more about Mark. You find out that he used to work with Khan in an investment firm when they both were members of the Technocratic Union working for the Syndicate.
Wow.
That is not
Holy
information
shit.
that he shares with you lightly.
Right.
But yeah, Khan, big bad boy Khan, used to be an investment banker.
Okay. Wow. That's not something that you would expect.
No, no. And both he and Khan had similar reactions to bad stuff that happened. They got out, but where Khan fell all the way to the bottom and um, started building a family with the bridge trolls and helping on the streets and rejecting all commercialism um, and capitalism. Mark found a different way. He found the Society of Ether. He, found that, while not able to work on machines, bureaucracy is just as much a machine as anything else. And that's where he would really excelled at. Holy crap, my voice is all dry. Okay, I'm good. And then after March, and this secret that you now know about both Mark and Khan, we are in the early weeks of April. And through your research and through your observations, you started witnessing strange luminal activity in the sky. Something that you've been curious about for some time, something that you've been working with. And Malcolm's friend, Professor Lucas Enoch, has also contacted you about the strange luminal activity. And then it picks up a little faster. More things start happening in the sky. More streaks of light. and a pattern starts to emerge. Not one that you recognize, but it does seem to be more and more familiar to like the aurora borealis, but it's appearing over the Olympic Peninsula and Seattle. It is far too south to make sense, and it's not following the normal magnetic curve of the Earth. It is new. The advisory board has said that they're looking into it, specifically through you and Professor Lucas. But the cabals are all on high alert. What are you doing to look into this phenomenon?
Well, we're gonna have to do some research here, but I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna be. Let's do some research on like magnetic phenomena around the area. See if there's any like geomagnetic sources in the area.
Okay. Yeah. Investigation and intelligence probably be the best there. I'd say the difficulty on this is going to be 7. It's not a. It's a slightly more difficult thing than just, looking it up online.
Oof.
Your first attempts to maybe lock it into some earthly phenomenon, something that was local, doesn't really catch on. You have several false starts. You have to begin again a few times, and it's not quite what you had hoped for. Professor Lucas goes on about how he's afraid that it's the sign of some, otherworldly invasion or something like that. Really wild stuff, but not too unexpected from a member of the society. They've got some wild ones. Let's see. In this time frame, also, I'm going to take away like half your paradox, because it would have possibly bled off, and you've got access to Cal. You'd be able to shed at least one of it without it being too difficult over the weeks. It's been a while. Actually, I'm just going to take it all away because you do have Cal. Poor Nea, she has no one, no familiar to help her out. And as I said, over the course of almost half a year at this point, is going to be fine. Yeah, roll your perception and awareness. I'm gonna have a general. Make it difficulty 8.
And awareness.
Success. You've had your false starts, you've had some difficulty with the mundane research aspect of it, but your metaphysical connection to the mycelial consciousness, you, just as before, back in October and September, and throughout the year, these lights, as sporadic as they were triggering something in the consciousness, was pulling something in there. And now that it's intensified and become stronger, you get the sense that this is even more connected. With that bit of knowledge and with that research, where does Charlie go to confirm their findings? Or try to?
I think that Charlie would probably go out to the forest and like try to one connect to the mycelial network, and as well as like feel what if there's like a spiritual connection to this as well.
You go out on a trek to do more unconventional research, something that Professor Lucas and the more science-minded types would say that's just stupid. You don't have any instruments, you don't have, any vehicles, you don't even know how to get to wherever you're going. But that's not you. You're more intuitive, you're more instinctual. You follow your gut. And you find yourself in a particular region of the forestation that is closer to the coast. You're not deep in the woods, not high on a mountain or anything like that. You are, but the direction of the light effects, the wake of them seems to be pushing a little further out, a little further to the sea. And when you're out there and you're meditating and you're focusing, there's a moment in the early evening, and the air becomes hot, and you see this bright flash to the west into the Pacific Ocean. And from above, you see not just the lights, but streaks of massive forms falling, shrouded in smoke and flame, and you track it, and it hurls down all the way past the horizon, beyond your vision, somewhere out there. Then you look up and even more rocks, some now more to the west. They seem to be heading to Seattle. And they fall behind the mountain, behind the horizon there, and you can feel the mycelial network stretch and pull and almost scream as these otherworldly objects crash into the earth. There seems to be explosions. And and you can see the water starts to recede. And there apparently is a giant wall of water coming your way.
I want to not be there.
In a rush of enlightened panic and wild talent, you simply don't want to be there. And you are then thrust with the mycelial network pulling on you into a new space. Not Earth, but kind of Earth. You're not sure anymore. But this is where Charlie is lost for the time being, as water creates a new deluge on the shores of Western Washington. And we'll leave it at that. No one knows where Charlie's at right now. If he was in his normal spots, he'd probably be okay out in the, the woods. But you have to know that Seattle's probably looking pretty bad. And we'll leave you there with that. Not with a bang, but more of a poof into another realm. There you go. We'll figure out.
Yeah.
We'll figure out where you were, what you've been doing when you return. But for the foreseeable future, there is a catastrophe that the Seattle mages are having to deal with. Rock on.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, it's all fine. It's all good. Just created a big, tsunami for everybody. No, it was fun.
A deep impact on us.
A little bit. 1 second, hold on, and we'll be back to kind of wrap things up between you and I. But for everybody else watching, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on a Magic Monday. Have a good night.